Please give this video a like and subscribe!
Okay, and we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Alison, and this is Maintaining Frame. Islamist Rams Pride, White Men to Blame, plus bonus Janice, where we're going to be, well, it's a split show. We're going to be talking about two different videos, pieces of media.
Items? Selections?
Yeah.
Specimens?
Two different
Yeah.
examples. Or whatever, and we're going to be responding to them, and I just want to make sure everything else, it looks like everything else is fine. I was looking for something, but I don't see any issues here. So, yeah, we're going to be looking at a couple of things. You guys probably heard about the mass vehicle attack that happened, the latest maximum overdrive incident. Where a van just came to life and attacked a bunch of people at a Berlin Pride event. Turns out a guy was driving this van. So, but, we didn't hear about it until a little bit later. He was, Abdul Ballout, a 21-year-old German of Lebanese heritage with prior terror convictions. He killed one person and injured 29 during this Tiergarten parade. And despite the fact that the guy who did this, I won't give anything away, but there are women with opinions on this, and we are certainly blessed to have them, because they are, of course, going to give us the hottest of takes regarding this.
Yes.
Unfortunate tragedy.
The hottest and most hilarious of takes. Also like cringeworthy, but it's a potpourri of delightful emotions that they're going to offer us today. All right, so, and then the second one is the spinster feminist with cats.
Yeah, feminist. No, her name is Feminist Cat Lady Spinster, which I think she named herself ironically, like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I totally leaned into this? And she made a video responding to Janice Fiamengo sat down with a psychologist named Laura Howe and talked to her, and, they talked about their experiences with feminism, and they were not positive. And so Feminist Cat Lady Spinster is going to enlighten everyone on basically the fact that Janice Fiamengo is dumb and has dumb ideas and is a poopy head, and it's because she's betrayed the sisterhood. And that you should listen to her because she is not a poopy head. She is one of the good people. So we're going to be looking at both of those things. Right? Is that fair?
And I glossed it as in Femcell Nation speaks. I just we're going to be hearing from, dispatches from Femcell Nation today. A couple dispatches.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce it. Dispatches, right? Like deliveries of news.
Right, so sure.
Yeah. Okay, so if you would like to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support is the way to do that. We have 2 days left on our fundraiser, and we are at, last time I checked, $2,655 left to go. So get those supports in, so we can bring you another month of delectable content. And if you would like to send us a message at any point, if you would like to give us your words of wisdom, your commentary, or you just want to describe in excruciating detail how awful we are, we'll take that too. You can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us a tip and a comment with that tip. And finally, if you want to join us in our community, that's badgernation.online. It's all in the low bar, guys, because I know somebody really wanted to join us and they were confused how to do it. It's that you can look in the low bar. Of course, if you're listening to us in a podcast, then just go to badgernation.online. No more complicated than that. And you can join us there. And I've decided to start briefing people on all of my research activities that I do in a day, just so people can follow my travails in attempting to find the source of the mythical patriarchy. And what I mean by that is the actual proving of the term, where it was first coined, the feminist usage of the term patriarchy, because before then there was an anthropological and ethnographic use of the term, which just meant rule by father, which really should mean responsibility of father rather than rule. But regardless, I'm trying to find the location of the original concept, patriarchy, which is not just men in charge, but women oppressed. So men in power for their own benefit at the expense of women. And that's the feminist formulation. And I'm still trying to find where it was proven.
Yeah.
I suspect it never was. I strongly suspect that. Which explains why, to this date, after 20 years, no feminist can point to where patriarchy was proven, at least their formulation of patriarchy. So if you're interested in following me in my trip through the desert of the real, that is feminist theory or conjecture, then badgernation.online for that. And yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So what do you want to start with? Do you want to jump into the this like van attack video or the Feminist Cat Lady video?
I think people would appreciate. One other thing before we do it, I just want to do a shout out for Monique, who's at the Canadian Child Protection from an Alienation Foundation.
Nice.
She is presenting a policy framework for reforming the Divorce Act at the Toronto, Canada conference. And she wants to influence the direction of BC 2223, which is probably take children away from their father's bill of some kind, and to protect children from parental alienation. And to get there, she's going to need people's help. So if you would go to GoFundMe and go to the GoFundMe cause, donate to help me defend children at risk presentation in Toronto. She does a lot of hard work trying to bring attention to parental alienation and how children are harmed by that. And of course, that's asymmetrically something that fathers face. So consider helping her out. And yeah, let's just go with the van life guy.
Wait, okay. So the X post, right?
Yeah, the van death guy, I suppose would be the better way of putting it.
So this is it right here. I'm sharing my screen, so you see it. Alison,
you just let me go in. Yes, I'm going in. I have so many tabs,
and it's in Discord. I'm sharing it's in Discord.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I know. I had to navigate through my computer. All right, I'm in. Let's do it.
All right, so this is X post shared by Ollie London of Ollie London TV. And, I'll let the video speak for itself. So this has to do in the wake of the Berlin Pride van attack that was committed by an Islamist terrorist. Let's listen.
I'm getting really, really sick of this. I'm getting really tired of having to repeat myself over and over again. So today, in Berlin, there was an attack. A van drove through a crowd of people celebrating Berlin Pride Parade that they have every year. It's a huge parade. It's one of the biggest. And they injured, I think, at this time I'm making this video, this is subject to change, 17 people, and one person is dead. Okay, so it's a breaking story. There are going to be things that are going to come out and change throughout the life of the story, average. So the suspect is an Islamic extremist. That's their suspect right now. That's what I read, okay? I'm not going to say anything about the rest of the Muslim population because of actions of this one person. But what I can say is the people who were celebrating about this were all white men, young white men with crosses in their profiles. Because we've all seen it. We've all seen how you guys react towards gay people and how you wish harm on them constantly. I get constant hate.
Is there any evidence of that?
Not that I know of. I think I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it. The only thing I
Is this
would,
is this a womanism? Like she's like, well, you guys speak out against homosexual lifestyle, therefore you advocate for the unaliving of homosexuals. Like just she just fantasizes this. Like, where is the proof? Is there any? Can
yeah.
she not present some? Like even quote?
No, she doesn't have
Okay,
to.
all right.
She doesn't have to. Like I said, I don't know for sure if there were no men celebrating this. I mean, it's the world. There's probably some somewhere, and I mean Christian men, because that's who she's going after is white Christian men. Even though this is clearly an Islamic attack, and there are likely Islamists that are happy that this happened. But if anything, and I'm not even sure that this is coming, I don't think this is coming from a place of schadenfreude for the people who were injured or killed in this attack. But if anything, there might have been a, let's say, a knowingness to the results. So it's sort of like, you have a country, it's going in the wrong direction. Like they're letting in a bunch of strangers that don't respect their culture and they're just there to colonize them. They're there to basically take over, not by the sword, but by the womb. This has all been said many times. It's well documented and it's been growing slowly in Europe for a while now. And there have been other vehicular attacks because they ban guns. So there are knife attacks, there are van attacks, there's other acid attacks, whatever. These things are happening. And I think that if anything, if I'm being as charitable to her as possible, there might be some people, men, who are looking at that and they're just saying, I told you so. Like, this is what happens when you let these people in who are incompatible with you culturally. This is what's going to happen. But it's not a celebration. It's not happiness. It's more of a, how do I put it? It's like a, you see? It's kind of like I told you so thing. She is, if that's even the case, which I don't know. I don't think it's widespread. I think that there's a lot of, if anything, sympathy for the people of Germany, like that their country's in the state that it's in. But that's if I'm being extremely charitable. I don't think there were men. There are just people saying, you were warned about this, that this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, people in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, they just didn't care. They're just like, no, we're doing it because we're good people and we believe the good things. So we're going to keep on going with this. And then these things happen and people are like, just looking like, well, I told you this was going to happen. That's not the same as taking pleasure in it, So
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Yep. Should we finish it? Or is that done?
No, it's almost over. There's like 20
right.
seconds left. So she's saying, I'll just go back a little bit. We'll play it for some more context.
Seen it. We've all seen how you guys react towards gay people and how you wish harm on them constantly. I get a constant hate on my videos, especially about trans people. You're not going to hide behind another scapegoat group and pretend that they're actually the violent ones when it's you. You hold the same exact beliefs that this man who did this attack did. And you're trying to distance yourself from it. And you know why you're trying to do that? It's because you're ashamed. And you should be. I'm getting...
So yeah, so I'm ashamed.
Okay, who is the specific group that she's calling out? White male Christians?
White men, white Christian men. Yeah, because she said with crosses in their bios. So I imagine.
So if it's white men, I presume that the white men were the ones who ended this individual's potential future campaigns against the LGBT community, because he was shot in Berlin, right? So
yeah, by police who are presumably men.
Yeah, let's face it, they shot and hit him. So
yeah,
I think the probability they were men was quite high. But so this guy engaged in violence, and you know what? I don't even have to do white men. Men were probably the ones, because when she says white men, she's just using white as a way to emphasize man. You know that, right? It's like, I'm going to put this individual in the category where he has no intersectional qualifiers to soften my condemnation of him. Because she's probably also someone who believes the whole black men are the white men of black people, and gay men are the white men of gay people, and so and so on. So she just means men. And the other thing is that she doesn't seem to understand the difference between a person who believes others have the right to do or to be wrong but not do wrong. So there could be Christians who think that pride is
sin,
a mess, a sin, and yet would consider running people over in pride to probably be a greater sin.
yes,
Right? And would endeavor to stop the second while trying to encourage the first to maybe develop better coping skills, shall we say. Right? And they would condemn the first without actually wanting to engage in any kind of violence. There's a difference there, okay? People have the right to do wrong or sort of be wrong. They do not have the right to do wrong. And I don't think she understands that difference, that you can disagree with someone while still upholding their basic civilian rights, right? As a member of the society which you belong to. Like, there's a difference there. I don't think she's aware of that. And that what we're talking about is an individual who is part of an ideology that doesn't believe in that. That he believes that if you disagree with him, you are in fact eligible to be given a ticket to the other side, shall we say. And that's a categorically different arrangement of morality. Okay? And of course, she doesn't recognize that. She just thinks that if somebody disagrees with someone, that is equivalent to another person wanting to unalive them for their beliefs. So this
not
is
just
not a
wanting
serious
to,
person.
but actually going through with it.
Yeah,
he didn't just want to
it.
do it; he did it. Call him whatever,
Yeah.
but don't call him somebody who accepts half measures. He went in.
Yeah. He went in and he got that bag, as it were. But so she's making this false equivalence, and I would honestly say that's because her brain hasn't matured to the point where she understands the difference between signaling a position and embracing a standard of ethical behavior. Right? So she thinks that Christians who would never kill anyone, and in fact, astoundingly, many times when they are subject to violence, they seem to be like, I'm turning the other cheek and forgiving the person who did this to my family. And it's like, so they have an ethic of care and forgiveness, and they judge people based on their actions, and they may have an opinion about homosexuality or trans people, but they're not going to go out and murderize them for it. And she's judging them the same because in a superficial sense, they have sort of the same beliefs, like the same condemnation of LGBTQ plus. Yeah. Like, how do you explain to this person that there's a whole dimension of thought that they are incapable of accessing?
Yeah.
Like, there's how do you?
No, I
how do
don't
you
think
like
you can. How do you?
Flatlander. There's a third dimension, you know?
Yeah.
You will never see it.
You live in the 2D dimension. You can't see the 3D dimension. Yes. You can read, I don't know, War and Peace to your dog, but that doesn't mean they're gonna get it. So
they'll like the tone.
But they'll like the way you sound, they'll watch you, yes, they'll maintain eye contact, but they won't know what you're saying. Like, it's just noises to them.
Well, I mean, I think it conveys meaning, but yeah, I get your
it
conveys tonal meaning, but
but even that's not enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it conveys a tonal meaning. And they'll like the attention, but they just won't be able to picture the dimension that you're opening up with your words. I think that's sort of what we're dealing with here. She's in a place where the symbol of the thing is the thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
she probably slap a waterline test down in front of this girl and she would not be able to pass it. So yeah, that's and then the other thing I want to point out is now she's making the equation between Christians who would never do something like this despite disagreeing with the who knows, might just be pride itself or the entire concept or considering it a sin, right? And she's making this equation because they have they don't agree with pride because she cannot see the content of the actions. She just sees the content of what they're signaling in terms of virtue.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and the other thing is that she doesn't condemn. Like she's using a situation where these individuals are going to be targeted by this particular violent ideology, and they are like they have been in the past. And they, like the people on the left will trot out the whole right-wing extremism. You know that right-wing extremism also includes Islamic extremism in those
Yeah,
statistics.
if you consider
Look at
right wing to be like socially conservative, yes.
Yes.
Actually, in
So
fact,
it's like
they're probably much further down that road.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like because again, they don't have that concept of a civil society, and you can disagree while still supporting another person's civil rights. Or I mean, I'm not saying they blanket don't have that, but definitely Islamists don't buy into that. But the other thing is that she's not just trying to say that Christians and Islamists are identical, even though they are completely different in the actions that they take in order to advance what they believe. She's also essentially saying that men are hiding behind a quote unquote scapegoat group to avoid being labeled as generally violent. So what that means is this guy didn't do this because he's an Islamist. He did it because he's a man. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if men are like, hey, this guy's got a violent ideology, she's like, no. Well, yes, that violent ideology is masculinity. So renunciate your manhood.
Yeah, but Alison, have you tried their food? Have you had the kebabs? Because
Yes.
I mean, like you know what? It's probably worth it to have a van drive through a crowd every once in a while, as long as I can get my hands on some of those kebabs. I'm just saying they're delicious. It's worth it. I'm joking, but not really. I'm just referring to their typical arguments. Also note, I just want to point out real quick, she says, if you want to listen, we can listen back to it. She literally says that she knows who the person is that committed this terrible, heinous crime. She knows that that person is an Islamic extremist and basically a terrorist. And she says, I'm not going to judge an entire group of people, i.e. Muslims, based on that one guy's actions. But allow me to judge an entire group of people, men, based on this guy's actions. So you want to hear that again? Because she said it.
Sure,
okay, let's listen. Listen.
I'm getting really, really sick of this. I'm getting really tired of having to repeat myself over and over again. So today, in Berlin, there was an attack. A van drove through a crowd of people celebrating Berlin Pride Parade that they have every year. It's a huge parade. It's one of the biggest. And they injured, I think, at this time I'm making this video, this is a subject to change.
So real quick, she's got a dog. You can hear it panting. It's a big dog. I wonder if she's dog pilled. Okay, let's keep going.
No!
I know it's gross to think about, but I'm just saying.
She looks like she's probably a teenager.
She might, yeah. She looks really young, but
I think at this time I'm making this video, this is a subject to change. 17 people, and one person is dead. Okay, so it's a breaking story. There are going to be things that are going to come out and change throughout the life of the story, average. So the suspect is an Islamic extremist. That's their suspect right now. That's what I read, okay? I'm not going to say anything about the rest of the Muslim population because of actions of this one person. But what I can say is the people who were celebrating about this were all white men, young white men.
Okay,
with crosses
you're
in their
right.
profiles.
You're right, Brian. I'm not going to.
Because it doesn't
not
count as like a verboten generalization when you're talking about men.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
But you're absolutely right. And again, white men is it's just like saying man. It's actually redundant. You can just say man.
Man cubed.
Because as we know, man cubed. As we know, whiteness is actually masculinity. We went through it. Remember I think it was the Smithsonian infographic.
Yeah.
And we're just reading this, and it's like, you've just essentially said that whiteness is masculine, traditional masculinity. Fantastic. I'm sure black men love that graph. But anyway, so it is just man cubed. So she's saying, okay, she's not going to judge Muslims by this Islamist. Okay, fair enough. But she is going to judge white men by a bunch of trollsters on Twitter, at best. Like at best, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, and what those guys did on X is obviously worse than driving a van into a crowd at a
and more judgment worthy. Judgment worthy. So we have gone using her. I don't want to use the word logic, but her thought movements. Her thought movements. We have gone from an Islamist man killing LGBTQ plus during a pride parade, at least one, and injuring, to white men being responsible, to just men being responsible. Let's be honest, right? We've just, and we cannot condemn the Muslim community, fair enough, but we can condemn white men for the actions of this Islamist man. I think honestly, when you understand that what she actually means is that the thing that caused him to be violent was his masculinity, and that the men who are condemning him also have it. So she's saying, how can you do that? Then it makes a lot more sense. Right? She literally thinks that men cannot differentiate themselves based on their actions. So men who just tweet something are equally bad or worse than this dude, because they virtue signal the same thing, or so they signal the same attitudes that he has, and everything is about the symbol, not the thing. Everything is about the signal, not the thing, not the action taken. So they're just as bad. And also, his violence is their violence because it's the violence of being a man. So it all makes freaking sense now to me. And that a man cannot differentiate himself from other men via his actions. So if you Brian say, oh, these guys who are on Twitter tweeting are not taking the same action as this other man who's engaging in lethal violence, right? You can't do that, because that is differentiating men based on their actions or the content of their character, and that's not allowed. So if you are a man, all you have available to you to differentiate yourself from other men is to take responsibility for the violence of masculinity and renunciate your manhood. You see what I'm saying? That's it. You can't defend women, right? Because you are supposed to defend women. You are supposed to protect women. But as you do so, you have to say, as a man, I am no better than the men who I am protecting women from. And I, in fact, receive benefit from his violence towards women, even though I am sacrificing my life and health and maybe getting stabbed or shot or injured in order to protect women. I am the ultimate beneficiary of this man's violence. And then you're a good man. But the actions are irrelevant. They're like the fact that you would defend a woman or defend these people from this guy's violence, the police that actually prevented him from continuing this,
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. That's not relevant to your goodness because that's actions. That's operative thought. You're not allowed to do that. You can only renunciate. That makes you a good man.
Yeah.
Renunciate your masculinity. It's a crazy belief system.
Yeah.
And but it's also quite hilarious. You did pick that out though. That was a good one. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Good
Yeah, I
laugh.
mean, I caught it right away. All right, so
Yeah.
I got a super chow and a rumble rant. I'm gonna just read them really quick. The official reverse traditionalism channel on YouTube gives us $5 and says, "Why do feminists pretend women started working in the 1970s when the term spinster literally refers to a woman with a job?" Do you want to take that?
Because it's convenient.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
mean,
not.
no, I don't have a problem with you sending these questions through, but they're basically all of the same form of this obviously thing is obviously wrong. Why do feminists assert it? Because they can, because it supports their position, because actual reality doesn't matter. Like
Yes.
again, this woman is saying that men tweeting is equivalent or worse. No, not even equivalent. Worse than this man engaging in violence. Right? And from that, you understand exactly what her life is like. If she can draw an equivalence between someone tweeting something mean and someone ramming into a crowd with a van, injuring 29 people and killing one, and probably traumatizing a whole bunch of other people, like if she can't tell the difference, then she has no source of any kind of survival threat or stress or trauma in her life. Because once you have, it becomes a lot more difficult to assert that those things, that tweeting is worse. But what she's essentially saying is that her prerogative for judging people is more important than keeping people alive, which incidentally forecloses her position for judging people. Right, so she doesn't have an understanding, or reality only exists insofar as it supports her assertions. Where reality differs from her beliefs, reality must change, right, and not her beliefs. So her thinking never reaches, her thought movement never reaches the substrate. And that's the only explanation for how anyone could possibly assert the idea that men on Twitter are doing anything in the same ballpark, in the same universe as someone driving a van into a crowd of people.
Yep.
And that's one is more culpable than the other. Like this is basically toxic relational web thinking. I'll just lay it out there. It's terminal relational web thinking. And feminists assert that because that's basically their only thinking. Like the entire history of feminist academia. I don't like using that word. Feminist Karenism, right? The entire history is the history. I'm like reading all of this stuff, right? So it starts with the Red Stockings Manifesto, which basically is the originator of all the concepts that feminists have in play now. So every single feminist today, they use the term male privilege, patriarchy, supremacy, all of that. That's radfem. That is a radfem inheritance, right? So you start with the Red Stockings. Pretty much can ignore the 66 now declaration because they didn't win.
Yeah.
And then you go through all of the arguments between the radfems, the psychoanalytic feminism, the Marxist feminism, and which ends up being resolved by everyone agreeing that they don't need their concepts to relate to anything in reality. They don't need to prove anything. They just use standpoint theory to say that women's ways of knowing mean we don't need to prove anything. You're basically watching the relational web lift off the substrate. You know, the wallabies justifying patriarchy by creating 6 self-citing assertions that none of them are proven. But they feel like they're right because it's sort of like a web of assertions, and webs are a form of actual evidence because they're so webby. And Walby's web is just that's the proof, all the proof we need. So you're watching this relational web just elevate, just levitate itself off of any expectation of touching grass. Right? And I'm just watching, I'm reading through all of these and just watching this process of the relational web detaching from reality. And that's basically the feminist conjecture in a nutshell, the history of feminist conjecture in a nutshell. And then from that, you go to, this is how we're going to treat men's mental health issues. And by that point, you've just lost all faith in humanity. All right, so that's basically what it is. It's just toxic relational web thinking, just lifted from reality. No need to reference anything that actually exists, any proportionality, any actions, any evidence, any historical facts, nothing. It's just self-justifying, a self-justifying infinite grievance loop.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let me ask the audience, because I think official reverse trad doesn't, I don't know if you just don't understand. So I want to see if the audience understands. If you were talking to a feminist and you made like the most rock solid, inescapable argument for anything, let's just take this spinster thing as an example, where you just confronted a woman and said, "Do you realize that that women have been working like they've always been working, and so spinster, refers to something much older than when women were working?" How many of you guys think that a feminist would hear that and say, "Oh my God, I had no idea. You're completely right. I'm going to change my ways now, and I'm going to reevaluate every position I've ever held, and I'm going to humble myself and really think long and hard about all of the stuff that I have believed and said in my life to this point"? Do you think that would happen if you just made a really good argument? I just want to know. All right, so thank you for the super chow, though, official Rev Trad. I'm not attacking you. I'm just letting you know. I don't know, maybe you're new, but in my opinion, like, having the best arguments on earth doesn't change any minds, because these people they are not logical. They are zealots. That's what it is, okay? This is a faith-based belief. It has nothing to do with measurable reality. But anyway, M.B. Iverson gave us a Rumble rant and said, this is for $5, thank you, M.B. Iverson, and says, "She belongs to an ideology that also believes that people who disagree with her should be harmed. That's why leftist people defend it so viciously." Yeah, I think if, like, men were killed in that attack, I don't think she would have a video out. I mean, there were probably men who were hurt because it was a pride event, but that doesn't seem to register. It might have even been mostly men at the pride event. Might have been. But that doesn't matter, because the victims are just victims. They're not men, okay? Only the perpetrators are men. Or the people who have stood idly by and allowed it to happen are men. Richard Bier gives us $5, a super chow, and says, "Recalling the teenager girl who traveled from the UK to become an ISIS bride to make babies for the cause. She tried to return after she found out that it wasn't as fun and glorious as she had thought it would be. I remember that her UK citizenship was stripped from her and her father was advocating for her to be allowed to return to the United Kingdom. I don't recall if she was eventually allowed back or not." I know about that story, I remember it, but I don't know how that turned out either. And then there was a Rumble rant from Nobafan for $1. And he says, "Hot take, if she feels more worried about Christians, white people, men, etc. than extreme Muslims, then I think she should become even more scared of the white man." Winky face. She probably is mostly scared. But then again, who's to say? Because a lot of this stuff could just be her on social media, her social media presence, and she's saying what she has to say to get the most support. So it could be that too. All right, Alison, are you there? Or are you fighting with the mute button or something? Because you've been super quiet.
No, I'm just being quiet. Oh yeah, you're like, are you dead? Poke her with a stick. She's not speaking. She's not trying to speak. I'm trying to be disciplined. because
No.
Iggy Thunders has spent a couple a couple comments calling me out for not letting you speak. All right, so I'm going to apply the threat narrative framework to this. The roles.
Okay.
So if you don't know what the threat narrative is, it's a process of demonizing a group of people by amplifying their agency and bad intent and also their guilt. All right, so the roles of this threat narrative. So the narrator is the speaker, of course. She's the one spinning the threat narrative. The target is young white men with crosses on their profiles. You guys, and when she says that, young white men crosses, what you should read is just men cubed. Just men. She's just trying to slice out all of the potential softening intersectional factors that a man might use to defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so she constructs that mid-clip, and her audience is, of course, her viewers, and the in-group, out-group binary boundary is drawn explicitly at 50 seconds in, which I think Brian identified. Okay, so the disclaimer is symmetry. At 40 seconds, she states the standard individuation principle for the group she's actually implicated by the day's attack. I'm not going to say anything about the rest of the Muslim population because of the actions of this one person. 10 seconds later, she does the reverse operation on a different group with no connection to the attack. You hold the same exact beliefs that this man who did this attack did. The same speaker demonstrates back to back that she has the individuation principle available and chooses not to apply it to the second group. That's not an inconsistency to infer. It's stated in sequence on tape. So even Punished Claude recognized that maneuver, Brian.
Mm.
Punished Claude agrees with you. Hyper-agency, Borgification. The target's group's violent disposition is established by two proxies. Profile picture iconography, crosses, and her own comment section experience. I get constant hate on my videos. Neither is a measure of the demographic. Both are convenient samples, people who comment on our videos, generalized to a population, then equated with a named terrorist specific ideology. Right? That's the whole sequence, right? These men who are tweeting have the same, and that's actually really what's going on. So she's constructing this kind of relational web chimera, right? What she wants to implicate are men. But how does she implicate men? Because this is their great maneuver, guys. It's always men need to renunciate their masculinity, their manhood. But how does she implicate men? Well, she has to assemble a chimera. So first she says, white guys, right? You're just as violent. And how do you do that? How do you assemble the chimera? She has to add in men with crosses on their profiles so that she's pulling in that group because that group overlaps with people who may condemn or criticize the LGBTQ movement, right? So that's how she pulls in guilt there. And then she pulls in hatred to herself so that the villain becomes men and the victim becomes her. I don't know if you noticed that, guys, that this is about her asserting her victimhood and casting men in the role of villain. She describes how these comments target her because she's apparently LGBTQ plus or something. So she's making herself out to be the victim. Men are, of course, always the villain group. And this is how she acquires the villainous chimera. Men with crosses, white men with crosses in their bio. She uses white specifically to foreclose any kind of appeal to intersectional defense in a man. Then she uses the crosses to pull in the ideology that she needs to condemn. And then she uses these are the commentators in my own videos attacking me and throwing hate on me to make herself the victim. That's what she's doing. Do these things actually connect? Probably not, honestly. Maybe in her mind, but again, there's no evidence. She doesn't give evidence of the men with crosses cheering for this man or well, that was specifically the heinous thing. She doesn't give evidence of whatever hatred she says she gets. There's no evidence here. It's all just pulling abstractions together to construct a symbol of villainy. All right, so hyper-agency Borgification. The target group's violent disposition is established by two proxies: profile picture iconography, crosses, and her own comment section experience. I get constant hate on my videos. Neither is a measure of the demographic. Both are convenient samples. People who comment on her videos, generalized to a population, then equated with a name terrorist specific ideology. Yeah, I'd already read this. Apologies, guys. Deconstruction as construction. You're not going to hide behind another scapegoat group and pretend that they're actually the violent ones when it's you. Preempts the individuation argument, which she just gave to Muslims, by recasting it as bad faith deflection before it can be made. The framework's diagnostic move. Raising the distinction is treated as the crime, not as a claim to be evaluated. So she's going to say we can't condemn the Muslim community, fair enough, individuation, but at the same breath, she uses the thing that would be used to condemn the Muslim community to condemn Christian men with crosses in their bios. And then forecloses those men saying, hey, what are you doing? I had nothing to do with this, by saying, well, that's proof. That's even more proof of your guilt. Your professions of innocence are even more proof of your guilt. Like I said, every road leads to men just renunciating themselves. The target is often offered exactly two positions. Villain secretly holds the attacker's belief, or the coward who hides and distances. No third option. Individual with no relation to the attack is available in the frame as constructed. Hatred, obsession, inverted valence. Because you're ashamed, and you should be, assigns a deserved guilt to the target class directly, closing the segment on the frame rather than on a claim about the actual attacker. So, that's how she basically lands on, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of this situation, guys. I'm the real victim, and men are bad unless they renunciate themselves, and they're still bad. But you're just always bad. Don't expect any thanks. Don't expect any thanks for what is it? Don't expect any thanks for repenting of your sin, men. And what's really interesting is that she holds the same kind of, well, I don't want to say the same kind. Her idea of sin, because she has an idea of sin. She has beliefs about sin. Sin is attributed to people based on their biological categories rather than their actions. Right now, whatever you are with Christians condemning the LGBTQ lifestyle or criticizing it, at least you could say that there's a way of getting out of that category, right? But there's no way to get out of the category of being a man. None whatsoever. And in fact, a lot of what's coming out of the psychology of men and masculinities sounds more like conversion therapy than anything else. That the only way a man can have peace is by renunciating anything that he shares with other men, renunciating his masculinity, and just declaring his sinful nature. And he will never find peace. He'll just have to keep renunciating it over and over again. And that's the only way he can feel that he is a good man, is by renunciating his masculinity and his connection to other men, and encouraging other men to do the same. The endless struggle session. All right, let's
I got a couple more. Yeah, I got a couple more paid comments. I'm just gonna read those.
Okay.
So I got a super chow from Albatross for 5, and he says, I have seen a few mocking comments, but I think it's more about showing people the cognitive dissonance of the queer/activist community, not realizing that the Muslim community obviously doesn't like them and that multiculturalism is hurting them. Yeah, well, it's strange bedfellows. I mean, I understand them, but yeah, sometimes it's gonna bite them in the behind, as it were. Thank you for that. Nobafan gave $1 and says, naive black and brown men watching the video. See, guys, we're safe. They're only targeting white men. Black and brown people who don't vote Democrat. Allow us to introduce ourselves. And then I got a super chat from Richard Pierre for 5, and he says, the surname Webster was a description of a female weaver, and the surname Brewster was a designation of a female brewer. And now, to be more on topic, what is the difference between this rhetoric being espoused and the rhetoric that was used to that was used to rile up entire communities to seek out witches and execute them? See also the rhetoric being used in the high-profile cases where the racial angle is being used as the foundation, and see how it compares to the witch-hunting rhetoric. All right. Thank you for that. And I think that's it. So let's, are we going to the other video, or do you want to say some more stuff about this one? Okay, we're going to the other one. All right.
Femicide number 2.
Let's do it. All right. So I do have time codes, but maybe I'll play a little bit of the intro so you get a sense of what we're getting into. So here we go.
You know, I would like to have feminism recognized as the hate ideology that it really is, and for it to be discredited.
So right off the bat, I just want you guys to know where this woman's coming from. Her channel's called Feminist Cat Lady Spinster. Her Instagram is Disobedient Jezebel. And she's got like a full moon on her opening. So
what a tryhard.
Make of that what you will, with like creepy music. Official Reverse Traditionalism channel gave us another super chat. I'm just going to read it before we continue. For 5, and says, sorry, I have been lurking as a Badger fan for about 12 years, but I've only been debating feminists for about 6 months, and I genuinely am baffled at finally realizing it just isn't about the argument. Yes, it's not. And people really are that stupid and evil. I don't know that it's stupidity so much as they can.
Evil?
Because feminism is the only... Well, I didn't say it wasn't evil. That's why I said I don't think it's stupid. Feminism as a discipline is above criticism, even from within academia itself. So it's embedded, and no one has the balls, and in many cases literally don't, to actually like dismantle it and discredit it, which is why, again, Janice Fiamengo opens with, we got to find a way to discredit it. Obviously, the people who are pushing it don't care. They don't care how good your arguments are. So... All right, anyway.
Well, I mean, the argument is substrate, right? It's
the
reality that they foreclosed during the formation of, or the derivation of their concepts. Like, I am going through the feminist corpus, so that's feminist theory, about 13,000. Now I can't do it like manually, at least not all of it. And a lot of it is just basically dissertations and theses, and it's all kind of chaff that feminist students create that nobody even reads, much less cites. But yeah, there's going through this, what I have discovered is how much they violate what so-called Brickmont call abuses of science. Now, Sokol and Brickmont apply those abuses to humanities or soft science, borrowing hard science concepts. But what happens in feminism is they borrow concepts from a harder science like sociology or even psychology or anthropology. They borrow concepts from those fields. And actually, I shouldn't even say they borrow concepts. They borrow terms, right? So a feminist will borrow a term like strain, which has a specific conceptual meaning in the psychology literature. So Good originally wrote about strain, and it's a fairly obvious, but again, academia is about exploring the obvious. He basically described role strain, as people have roles, and the roles have demands that they have to live up to, and those demands are usually greater than their ability to fulfill them. So it was a completely gender-neutral description of role strain. It was about demands placed upon the person, not benefits, demands. That was stolen by Pleck, who is basically foundational to the psychology of men and masculinities field, which itself is founded on feminist conjecture about men. He stole that term completely divorced it from the underlying concept and said that male gender role strain is a result of their privilege. So we go from a concept that's about how a role puts demands on a person, and those demands create strain living up to them. So that's a burden concept. So we go from strain as a burden concept to strain as a privilege concept, and there's no derivation. Like, Fleck does not explain how male gender role strain as it derives from goods role strain at all. He doesn't explain it ever. He just steals the term and the valor of it, the legitimacy of it, and then appends it to a feminist concept and calls it a day. Just welds it in. Hey, here you go, my postmodern feminist concept. And it's like they do this over and over and over again. Now, if they had done that to a physics concept, Sokal and Brickmont would have called that abuse of science. And I say that the spirit is the same. Fleck was taking a concept from a much more established and empirically grounded field, welding it to a feminist conceit, and then calling it a day. So he's stealing stuff. And this happens over and over and over again in feminist conjecture. They do it constantly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map it. I'm going to map every instance of them doing this, of violating Sokal and Brickmont's abuse of science, which has like four dimensions of abuse, and then also Greenward's formulation, which is basically taking concepts and completely lying about their provenance, what they actually mean, and citing them without including the actual content of the concept, or even completely misrepresenting what the concept is. And it's rife in feminism. Like, everything that is terrible about science, literally, that's feminism.
Yeah.
That's feminism. It is, even if it wasn't morally bankrupt, just on the level of farce, theft, misrepresentation, mislabeling, vocabulary juggling, stolen vocabulary, woozles, lying, just on the level, the sheer amount of academic fraud in feminism, it's a monstrosity. Before we even get into asserting that half the human race is subhuman. So yeah, that's my little rant. Shall we let's talk, feminist cat lady spinster. Let's talk about feminism. All right.
I'm going to finish that super chow I was reading before, and I got another Rumble rant, and then we'll continue. Okay, generally baffled by finally realizing it just isn't about the argument, and people really are that stupid and evil. The answer, it was never about reality, gives me closure about so much of the frustration. Yeah, they believe they can make things real by speaking it into existence. And all it requires is for everyone to go along with it, and to some degree, they get what they want.
All right, so just to clarify, it's Greenberg, not Greenward, and it's citation distortions, Greenberg, and it is fashionable nonsense by Sokal and Brickmont. So if you're interested in looking in these kinds of like a scientist calling out this nonsense in the soft sciences. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
all right.
Speaking of nonsense, let's begin.
Well, I'm trying. I got another super chat. I got to read them because they'll get stuck. So Dylan gives us $10 and says, "You don't argue to convince your opponent why they're wrong. Their hearts are hardened. You debunk their arguments so that others see the errors in your opponent's position." Thank you for that. Yes, that's true. But there has to be an audience. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting your breath. And you shouldn't get frustrated because you haven't changed their mind. Because, again, you're not dealing with people who are thinking. You're dealing with people who have zealous conviction. But okay, let us start.
Hi, Hi, and welcome to, or back to, my channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions about whatever catches my attention. I'm Kit, and today, per request, we're looking at a video from Laura Howe, The Truth About Feminism's Impact on Marriage and Men with Janice Fiamengo. Longtime subscribers might remember Janice from the Make Women Great Again convention where she was one of the speakers. Other than that, Janice's claim to fame is, well, direct from her Substack bio. I am a retired professor of English with a long-running video series about the fraud of feminism. As for Laura, per her channel bio, Laura Howe is a relationship therapist specializing in sexless marriage and female sexual desire in long-term relationships. Very curious as to how she ended up here chatting with Janice Fiamengo of all people about feminism, but okay. So the video opens with both...
All right, I'm just pausing it there. So, Great Indoors gives us a $5 super chow and says, this pink-haired lady basically does a variation of the following Norm Macdonald joke. Only 45 seconds long, and then includes a link. I guess he wants me to put this on. Do you want me to play this video that he shared, Allison?
Let me see.
It's
sure. Let's do it.
All right.
It's only 45 seconds.
I know the joke, but I'll play it for you guys.
Well, I can't say my friend's name, but he said his biggest fear is that ISIS or some terrorist group like that would get a hold of a dirty bomb and explode it over a major city within the United States and kill tens of millions of people. Because then the blowback against innocent Muslims would be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's horrific.
That's true.
All right, let's do some jokes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Exactly. Okay. So so she's not happy with the fact that Janice Fiamengo is talking to this Laura Howe person, and that Janice Fiamengo was at the Make Women Great Again conference, which was that was years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. And we actually did a response to an interview that I think, or it was like I think it was Piers Morgan had, or maybe it wasn't, it was some other show, had Janice and Anthony Dream Johnson on. Anthony Johnson was the guy, Beach Muscles. He was the guy that was putting this whole thing together. He has since then, as far as I know, he doesn't even do this stuff anymore. Like his mother was like murdered or something, and he's just been on a crusade against his father ever since. I don't know if his father's responsible. He blames him though. So that's like a whole, but that's another rabbit hole. But my point is, Janice once did an appearance for the Red Man group. They did the Make Women Great Again event, and she went to that. I don't think she agrees with those people on a lot, but I think that she accepted the invitation because it gave her an opportunity to talk about what she cares about. But this woman is going to basically at every opportunity associate Janice with that group, which basically means that she's an honorary male in her eyes. So, all right. Shall I get into the...
you can become that?
Yeah, if you've done things for men, I mean, she doesn't say it explicitly, but apparently the fact that Janice appeared on that at that convention, which was again years ago, that's enough for her. Like she might as well just be one of those dudes at that point. So, all right. So I'm gonna jump ahead to the first time code here. And it's like 8. Yeah, we'll start from here.
Feminism makes people that way, and I want
to go back a little bit. Okay.
About, or the only interest they have. Good grief. Anyway, I really recommend The Age of Grievance by Frake Bruni.
It brings out the entitlement mentality that some women have. It, I think, exacerbates envy and discontent and anger. It leeches away loving kindness and softness and nurturing. And for all the talk of how women are the ones who care for the weak it seemed to me that it takes away caring from women.
So anyone can call themselves a feminist. Angry people, entitled people, mean people, whoever. But I assume Janice is saying feminism makes people that way, and I would really like to know how she figures that. Feminism hasn't made me more one way or another, except that I try to think twice before I speak because I don't want to
it has.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll let her finish her point. So she says what it has done is allowed her to think before she speaks. Okay, sure.
Sexist norms. And yes.
So that she doesn't reinforce sexist norms. So it's not a form of control, but it kind of is. Let's go back a little bit so you can hear that again.
Mean people, whoever. But I assume Janice is saying feminism makes people that way, and I would really like to know how she figures that. Feminism hasn't made me more one way or another, except that I try to think twice before I speak because I don't want to uphold sexist norms. And yes, that includes against men. And I try to ask more questions of why I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing.
Okay, you're going to be held to that now.
Yeah, she says that. She says that. Okay.
Yeah, but she gets to define what are sexist norms against men. That's the catch.
Well, sexist, I mean, what does that mean? Like, are we talking about social things? Or are we talking about biological things? Like, what are we talking about? But let's keep going.
So I really began to question whether feminism was really what feminists said it was, whether it was really a movement for equality, because I couldn't see very much equality. I couldn't see any mutuality, any reciprocal commitment, any equal caring for men and boys.
At its core, feminism is about equality, though different feminists focus on different things. And I would say that, yes, it's about advocating for legal, social, financial, etc. equality, and also examining how those inequalities came about so we can understand how best to unravel them and ensure they don't happen again. But it does start with you.
Men. Like, literally, they blame men. You have to actually accept the framework that men are to blame. You can't get away from it. If you've actually read the foundational documents, they say that the issue is men's oppression, but that has never been proven. Like, I mean, as so far, nothing. And I've gone through pretty much everything. Every place where it could have been proven. Nothing. Right? And there's no actual citation of where it's proven, which makes it worse. And again, I don't think it can be proven. Right? But it never has been. It never has been stated in a way that could be proven true or false. So right off the bat, when you are in a framework that blames one sex, don't complain. And the sex that's being blamed has no ability to say, hey, wait, do we get a counter argument to this blame? Do we get to submit any evidence to the court? Do we get any due process before we just concluded that we are to blame? And your response is, well, that just makes you more guilty because you refuse. And this is the thing. I am certain now, but you can never be completely certain because then you're not being scientific. But I am 99.99% certain that the entire process, the progress of feminist Marxists trying to actually derive patriarchy from Marxist class analysis and failing, like literally Barrett says, I can't find male privilege. There's a null here. And then the rest of feminists being like, oh, that's interesting. Well, we're just never going to cite you again. We'll just make up standpoint theory and say we don't have to prove anything and then just move along on our merry way. Means that it was never proven. Functionally never proven. Not even from Marxist class analysis could you get patriarchy. Not even on the easy setting, ladies, could you actually derive and prove your assertion about men being to blame. So, lady, when you say, I believe that men are to blame, and I get to believe it because of women's ways of knowing, because I'm superior as a woman, because men aren't capable of relationships. They can't have loyalty or love. This is shitting stuff directly from feminist theory, guys. Hartsock. Men are permanently closed off from standpoint theory because they are incapable of forming human connection. Unlike women who are deeply compassionate. Hartsock, right there. That's the justification for feminist standpoint theory, which is why they don't need proof that men are oppressive. They just have women's ways of knowing, which is based on the fact that women are emotionally superior to men. Right? This is what she's talking about. This is what's coming out of her mouth. And then she has the audacity to say, wait a little bit, misandrist. Right? Read your Red Stockings manifesto. Read your Barrett. And then scratch your head over, Barrett couldn't derive patriarchy from Marxist materialism. Maybe there's no there. Maybe men aren't guilty. Right? No, she's not going to do any of this. She's just going to inherit all of these premises that were never proven or even actively found to be not true. She's going to inherit all of them in a framework in which men are eternally to blame with no defense, and say, this is equality, guys. I mean, I'm setting myself well above you. I'm denying that you even have the human ability to bond, thus making me entirely emotionally superior to you, and which is the position from which I'm blaming you for everything. But why do you feel that you're unequal? God damn. Okay.
All right.
Let's continue.
If you don't examine yourself.
What's going on, guys? Did the stream stop? Let me see. People are putting F's in the chat.
F's? Who's the F's in the chat? Was it me? Did I fuck up?
No. My internet connection is dipped a lot, but it's still up. It's just really slow for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Did that actually come through? That was an impassioned rant.
No, I'm still live. We're still live. It just says there's buffering.
Okay, guys, did you hear my? It's probably because we're.
You're saying now there's no sound? YouTube. Try refreshing. There's definitely sound. There should be sound. I can hear it. I just tested it. Yeah, it's working.
Do I need to go through my feminist rant, guys?
Alison, no, you did the rant. It's done. You guys they can hear it. It was just a hiccup in the internet connection. Okay. So, I'm going to continue the video.
Change the way you interact with the world. You're not going to get very far. And really, the only thing you can for sure change is yourself. And that's a big step towards social change. All that to say, feminism isn't about dictating to others how they should behave. And if someone says, I'm a feminist and I have to tell you how to live your life, or you'll do it wrong or in a way I don't agree with, ask yourself, how does that liberate anyone from anything?
Feminism literally has become the foundational belief system for the psychology of men and masculinities field, which itself informs mental health interventions for men, for the Association for the American Psychology Association. They 100% tell these men how they're supposed to live their life, or they deserve their mental health challenges. I've actually challenged psychologists who say they believe this stuff, if they'd actually say this to a man who has mental health issues, and they just go silent. But who knows? Maybe they are mendacious enough to actually say it in the privacy of their own therapeutic struggle session chambers. But literally, they are saying to men that their masculinity is a contributing factor to their ill health, their mental health problems, which not only is empirically false, it's also reprehensible. And finally, it is a form of conversion therapy. Okay, it shares a lot of similarities to that. All right, so this lady should realize that they are saying that you need to live your life in a particular way. They're definitely saying that to men. They may be a little bit more leery to say that to women, but they 100% say that to men. And you also say that to men. I think you've already said it to men. We're not telling you how to live your life. We're just saying you're a despicable reprobate who should probably be arrested and charged with some form of harassment if you don't comply. And you should also lose your job. But, that's not coercion. You still get a choice. Yeah, so the same choice that Weinstein. I got the wrong Steen. Boy, there's some commonality there. Weinstein.
Whoa, whoa.
Weinstein said to those women, right? They could have walked away. They could have said no. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
All
see.
right.
Let's continue.
Let's get to another time code. So I think there's nothing left there. So we're gonna jump ahead to 1612. Let's go like right here. Sometimes these time codes are not exact. So.
Friends, etc.
That is wonderful for Janice. I'm really.
Let me go back a little bit.
I don't think you
Sorry.
are.
I'm older now. I grew up in the 1970s when feminism was, at least the second wave of feminism was going strong. I experienced nothing in my life but kindness, generosity, and support from my male teachers, mentors, friends, etc.
That is wonderful for Janice. I'm really glad that was her experience. That does not, however, give her the authority to invalidate or ignore the experiences of other women. And
Look,
you know
the
what?
coercion
I've
is
also had
starting.
loving and supportive men in my life. And that is one of the reasons I'm a feminist.
So, anecdotes are no good unless they're her anecdotes. Because what was this standpoint theory is the idea that your truth is just as relevant or valid as any other truth.
No, that's not standpoint theory, Brian.
Okay. Well, what is it?
That is not standpoint theory.
Okay. What is it?
Standpoint theory is not that anybody's truth is relevant. It's that truths are ranked on an intersectional hierarchy.
Yes.
So that the oppressed have more understanding of the oppressor than the oppressor has of the oppressed. And women get to define themselves as oppressed based on the fact that they are oppressed. So standpoint theory is women have a greater understanding of oppression because they are the oppressed, which proves that they are the oppressed. Right? So that's why they don't have to prove that they're oppressed, because they are oppressed and therefore have a greater understanding of oppression. That's standpoint theory. It is absolutely not that everybody's beliefs are equal. No, for example, Fiamengo's beliefs are not equal because they are false consciousness. She has the consciousness of the oppressor, which is also standpoint theory. Only feminists understand truth. Get that?
Yeah.
This means that only this girl understands truth, because Fiamengo Janice Fiamengo has the false consciousness of the oppressor, and she, as a feminist, has true consciousness of the oppressed. As a woman, she has been oppressed by men, and that gives her the criteria on which to assert that she is oppressed. Do you see the circularity of it? It essentially just means that women are superior to men. And also, they've attempted to derive that from various other disciplines, like psychoanalysis. That was Hartsock that I mentioned. She attempted to derive the whole idea of standpoint theory from men not being able to bond because they had to reject their mothers. So as a result of rejecting their mothers, they apparently rejected their humanity, which means they just don't have the standpoint, the capacity to understand relationships between men and women like women do. It's incredibly circular, and it does not result in everybody having equal say. Absolutely not. Because you would not, Brian. Like right off the bat, you are disqualified as a man. You might regain some standing because you're Puerto Rican, but you are disqualified as a man. Yeah, not a lot. As soon as you disagree, you're of course the white men of Puerto Rican people. So yeah, it's a deeply hierarchical, very aggressively hierarchical structure that determines who gets privilege over their own thoughts, because that's what these women are after: controlling people down to their frickin' brainstem. And no, that's not standpoint theory. And Do you want to continue? Sorry, I just need to correct that.
That's fine. I got a Rumble rant from Roboto. He gives us $1 and says, if feminism is about freedom, why all the oppression? It's not. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, it's not about freedom. That's a lie.
Nope.
Okay.
It's just...
I'm going to continue. So she's explaining that you just don't get it, and that she cares about the men in her life too.
Experiences of other women. And you know what? I've also had loving and supportive men in my life. And that is one of the reasons I'm a feminist. I want them to be able to fully embrace their humanity as well. I have spent nights talking them off that ledge, and I have seen how patriarchal rules and expectations harm men. And then they apologize for daring to show emotion, and it just breaks my heart because, no, you're human. It's natural, and especially so around people you care about and who care for you. And that is why I don't hate Janice.
You notice how she has to import this unproven assertion that men are to blame? Patriarchy. Yes. So she's talked men off the ledge. Why are the men in your life suicidal, my dear? In the first place.
She thinks that's just the way, the normal state of men, the default. The masculine norms, they're making me kill myself.
Yeah, that's and honestly, it's all false. One, patriarchy has never been proven. It's actually reverse proven. The Marxist feminists could not derive it from Marxist class analysis, which is that is deriving oppression easy mode. All right. Two, masculinity is not associated with mental health problems. Okay, so right there, what she's saying is wrong. And then the other thing is that she gets to define what it is to be human. I want men to have the full experience of being human in a context where I reserve for myself the ability, I reserve for myself as a woman, the understanding of human connection, loyalty, and love that men don't understand natively. But I could tell them, I could inform them, I could make them, well, not human, but I could elevate them from their crude, violent, base natures through my femininity and feminism. Like, yeah, you're so beneficent, lady. You're so giving. You allow the fact that men, if they agree with you and do everything they say, that you say, could become human. I mean, not really human, but human adjacent. What a piece of... Okay.
Yep. All right.
I know you have a hard limit, so...
Yeah, I do. We got a half hour. Let me see here. Let me just make sure I'm done. No, there's some more time in this time code.
She's doing. She's not only trying to convince men that women aren't.
What?
Is anyone else just pissed off by this one? Okay, let's.
No, she's annoying. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
No, you're human. It's natural, and especially so around people you care about and who care for you. And that is why I don't hate Janice, but I hate what she's doing. She's not only trying to convince men that women aren't oppressed, but she's trying to coax them into being complicit in their own suppression.
Okay, all right. She's not only trying to convince men that women aren't oppressed by men. So basically what she's saying is that Janice is not only trying to convince men that they are not to blame for women's oppression. Right? And then she just, right after she says, oh, men can feel feelings. Really? What feelings? What feelings are men allowed to feel, lady? Are they allowed to feel hatred at other men and their masculinity, hatred at patriarchy, hatred at the identity they share with other men, and warm contentment that you have enlightened them? And also, how for the worst possible sin, let's face it, this is how you condemn people. When you want to condemn and demonize an entire culture, what do you say? You say that they harm their women, right? Or that they're a threat to our women. So feminism uses the demonization, the weaponized demonization language that we use in war propaganda, directs it at men, and then has a song and dance about it, how it cares about men's feelings. Well, not men's feelings being subject and targeted by war propaganda, but just the other feelings. Like how do you credibly assert that you care about the feelings of a group of people that you are targeting war propaganda towards? How do you credibly assert that, lady? Right? And she just, and she does it in the same damn sentence. It's because I care about men's feelings. That's why I assert war propaganda. Care about men's feelings. That's why I assert war propaganda against them. Oh, let's keep going.
All right.
Because her life is comfortable and therefore everything must be fine.
And to start talking about how we can
So
work
wait.
together.
So because Janice Fiamengo has had a good life and had men who've supported her, the fact that she says, and it's not just because of her own personal experience, she's just talking about her motivation, right? Her emotional motivation. Her actual position is reasoned and empirically sound, unlike this woman's, right? So, but because Fiamengo has had good experiences with men, she can't push back on the war propaganda that feminism is directing at women, or sorry, at men, because somehow that will cause men to feel like they can't have feelings.
Yep.
I think that once you're in a position, like really honestly, we need to foreclose this idea that feminists give a crap about men's feelings, aside from trying to silence them. Once you are in a position where you assert that men oppress women, you don't get to talk about caring about men's feelings. Right? Once you've foreclosed men's right to exist, you don't get to start saying, oh, I care about their lives and their well-being. Fuck right off. All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
As men and women to build a good society, and a society that is good for raising children, which seems to be the most important thing that we could have as a society. And I don't think we have that now.
I agree, but we're not going to build a better society by ignoring what's wrong in the current one.
Like this notion.
So she's not going to explain what's wrong in the current one. So Janice
No,
just
she doesn't have
said,
to.
no, she doesn't have to. Janice just said, this is for the children, which is just true. I know people they think of like that Simpsons meme, think of the children, but the truth is, the children matter. They matter more than women. They matter more than men, in fact, in my opinion. So, but she's just like not going to address that. And yeah, feminism has been disastrous for families, which includes children.
That there is a pervasive misogyny in our society that we must continually address. I've never seen that. I have not met.
Oh yes, the things that they trot out to justify their war propaganda against men.
These are her arguments. So the woman who made the video, she used some screenshots overlaid on top of this video clip. So this is not from the original video. This is her counter arguments. She shares: 1, women and girls are most likely to be killed by those closest to them. 2, femicide is a universal problem. So first of all, she validates the word femicide. So that's I mean, that should be obvious that that's like an issue. And 3, the true scale of femicide is likely much higher. Okay.
Yeah, what femicide means, guys, is that women are killed instead of men, which is wrong because men are the right targets of violence.
They're the rightful targets.
They're the rightful targets of violence.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're one of these people who just wants to live in a world where no one ever gets hurt or ever dies. I'd like to live in that world. Do you want to live? You don't want to live in that world? Then there's something wrong with you.
The reason why I say they're saying that men are the rightful targets of violence is because they cite the intimate partner statistics in, for example, the U.S. But what's happened since 1970 and now is that black men are less likely to be killed by their wives or girlfriends, significantly less likely. And now they cite the fact that there was a massive decrease in the deaths of black men as evidence of misogyny against women, because the women's numbers didn't decrease as much as men's did. Right? That's what they're doing. So in 1970, the intimate partner violence, like the deaths due to intimate partner violence, were more equal between men and women. It was something like, I don't know, 45-55, right? 55% women, 45% men. Now they've become significantly more asymmetrical, which what do they call that? That is misogyny. It's violence against women. It's femicide, right? But what actually happened is that the deaths of Black men went down substantially. And then the deaths of women didn't go down as much. And that's what they're terming misogyny. Right? So less men dying is actual hatred of women. That's how I know what they're actually saying is that men are the appropriate victims of violence. And when it's a woman, that the real problem is not that a person is dead, it's that a woman is dead when it should have been a man. They wouldn't be saying this. If Black men were still dying at the same rate as they did in the 70s, they wouldn't be calling it violence against women, would they? No, they probably still would try to figure out how to do it. Right? They wouldn't be calling this intimate partner homicide, violence against women. But the fact that less men die from it now, less men, but not less, only slightly less women, is hatred of women. It's femicide. Completely disreputable human beings. All right.
Yeah. All right. I got a Rumble rant from Nova Fan who gives us $1 and says, "Feminist, I became a feminist because of my respect for men. Also feminist whenever women call men gay for being quote unquote not man enough. It's the patriarchy's fault. Stop blaming women." Okay. It's true. All right. Let's get her response.
A misogynistic man.
Oh, she is such a liar. Or perhaps she's merely ignorant, which would be very sad. Does Janice not consider Andrew Johnson, as well as the other speakers at the Make Women Great Again convention, misogynists? Or does Janice not know what...
It's Anthony. It's Anthony Johnson. She got his name wrong. Anthony Dream Johnson, Beach Muscles, Red Man Group. Those guys are super gynocentric, by the way. Probably why
they're... exist?
I don't know. I don't know. How old is this video? This is only from 5 days ago. She's bringing up old stuff. I don't even know if those guys exist. I'll look it up. But the point is, they're not misogynistic because they are not at all. They're not even. They're basically tradcons. Like, come on, Let's see. Red Man Group. Does it still exist? Their YouTube channel still exists. I'll just go to the channel and see. Mute this. Last thing they put out was a video 3 years ago. Yeah. Last time they put out a video was 3 years ago. So they probably haven't been active. I will look and see if there's links. So.
I want to address one of her screenshots. The most dangerous place for a woman is in her own home. Yes. Right, the numbers make it stark. There's about 9,800 unintentionally injury deaths in and around the home. 58,300 poisonings, 32,500 falls. Of course, female intimate partner homicides are a little bit over 1,000 plus a year. So I guess she's right. The home is very dangerous for women. It's just not the man in the home that's dangerous. It's the tub, or the I guess accidentally drinking bleach in some horrible household accident. But keep humping.
I mean, if
got hit by lightning statistic there, feminists.
I mean, if the safest place, like if women are only in a few places and all of the most dangerous places have been essentially they've been sheltered from them, but they're going to die from something. Most of the time, hopefully it would be just old age or disease or something. But if they are going to die, like in some, let's say, way that was unexpected, whether it's a murder or an accident, but they're safe from literally any other or most other causes, then it's probably going to be at the home, because you've made everything else either inaccessible because it's too dangerous, or you've made it safer by putting like cops and first responders and soldiers and firefighters, men everywhere.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Women spend most of their time in the home, and on an order, they are 90 times more likely to die of poison in the home or falls than they are from intimate partner violence. This is a minor issue, particularly compared to women's suicide, which is very much an issue of mental health and any ideology that increases mental health strain on women. So if we look at any ideologies that might be associated with SSRI use or mental health concerns, we might want to consider that impact on women's fatality statistics, and that they might actually have a huge impact on it. So I think women are like 6-7 times more likely to kill themselves.
6-7.
Possibly even more than to be killed by an intimate partner. And incidentally, they don't mention, is that intimate partner female or male? We really need to disambiguate those statistics, because I think they're hiding quite a bit. But regardless, 90 times more likely to die from falls or poisoning in the home. That's just in the home, right? 7 times more likely to die of suicide. And what do feminists focus on? The one they can use to maintain their blame and grievance towards men. What a shock. And again, if you're going to cherry pick to construct this narrative, you don't have the right to claim that the target of your shitting threat narrative has that you care about their feelings. Right? If you care about men's feelings, stop targeting them with your shitty threat narrative. Right? That's a good first step. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
What misogyny is?
And I'm not saying that there aren't any at all, but that is not the general nature of men.
Agreed.
I agree, men are not born misogynists, but they and women are born into a misogynistic society and thus must unlearn misogyny.
Okay,
So
again.
I think it is.
Again. All right, so what she's asserting is a rad femme concept. The rad femmes asserted that men's desire to dominate women is a biological impulse. And what happened is the course of all this standpoint theory and intersectionality, and we don't really need to prove anything, the general feminist corpus adopted the de facto ubiquity of biology from the rad femme. So in other words, they took that it's everywhere, that it's every man, it's one-to-one with men, which is a biological feature. You don't get that from socialization, right? They're essentially asserting that men are socialized to this patriarchy, and that crosses lines where men would kill each other on sight. And yet they both share the same socialization. No. They take a concept that was originally biological. Rad femme said, men are biologically compelled to dominate women, which is this sexism that this woman is talking about, right? They take that concept, they keep the ubiquity of the biological explanation or the biological derivation, and then they slap on some social constructivism so they don't have to answer for the bioessentialist hate speech, right? They're just like, oh no, it's socialized. It's just socialized in every boy. Every single one. Every single person with a penis gets this. The socialization fairy hits them when they're 3 years old or whatever, right? They never explain how something could have the ubiquity of a biological factor but be socialized. They never give a causal mechanism for that to be so. So they never actually earn the being able to fig leaf this with social constructivism, right? So when she says this, she's just making excuses. She's saying, I want to assert this with the power of a biological fact, but I don't want to be responsible for being a bioessentialist who's essentially condemning an entire category of people based on their chromosomes. So it's socialized. How? How is it socialized? And until you can tell me the mechanism, you don't get away from the fact that you are borrowing the power of a biological explanation and hiding it in a social constructivist envelope. All right.
Yep.
I don't know if these rants, if anybody's following them.
All right. I got a Rumble rant from Roboto, and he gives us $1 and says, "Is the only safe place for women feminist standpoint theory? If so, where and when?"
The only safe place? Well, it's the only place they can't. Oh, I get what you're saying. It's the only place they're not held accountable.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
Probably
Thanks for the Rumble rant.
Guys,
Yeah.
tell me if you're understanding what the hell I'm laying down here. Send a message. Maybe Brian will see it.
Okay. I'm
Or
looking.
send a super chow if you want to
Even
invest
better.
in it.
Even better.
Even
All right.
better.
Is a particular temptation of women to feel themselves under threat and then to think of themselves as victims. In our society in particular, a victim is somebody who is very authentic. We tend to listen to victims. We tend to give them a lot of respect. We call them survivors. We praise them for their courage, all those sorts of things. And so it's...
Is any of that untrue that Janice is saying? Is any of that untrue? Do those things? Victims. Like a victim. Yes.
We do.
Well, if they're women.
Pleasant experience to proclaim one's victimhood.
I have some harsh words in mind, but all I will say is that this attitude is how we get something like the
You are
Epstein
lying.
files, and people just shrug their shoulders.
You are lying about this. You are lying about what she just said. She did not say it is good to be a victim. It is good to be perceived as a victim. You do not get to lie your ass off right in public and have people not call you out for it. So no, I'm not going to address the content of her statement because right here she's prefaced it or she has founded it on a lie about what Janice is saying. That is a lie. You are lying. You are a liar. Okay.
All right.
Did you guys understand that, Rand?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
And nothing happens. The little everyday things like men murdering their partners don't even get that.
And along with it comes moral authenticity and purity. The victim is not responsible for anything she's done wrong, for any failures in her life. It's somebody else's responsibility. So she is unimpeachable and pure.
Yeah, victims get so much respect. Says someone who freely admits that she's never faced adversity.
And then
what are you?
as a
Again, she never said she didn't face adversity. She said that she's only experienced kindness from men. Believe me, there is a whole half of the human race that could provide plenty of adversity.
I mean,
men
Janice,
never did anything bad.
we have footage of Janice being harassed by women.
Yes.
We have plenty
harassed
of it.
And intimidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely
so
a thing.
Don't you even dare say that she hasn't experienced adversity.
Yep.
Right, you little chit. Okay.
All right.
The result of that is that every experience gets filtered through the victim lens.
It's called trauma. Oh my God.
No, it's not called. Oh my God, it's called trauma.
Just like someone. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Oh my God, it's called lying. Stop doing it.
All right.
All right.
All you see, it's quite a satisfying worldview. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I found it very exhilarating when I was a university student to believe in the collective victimization of women.
What? No, it's not satisfying.
Yes.
It's depressing.
What?
It is. Okay, it's depressing. Then stop doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, don't do that
actively-
to yourself, and then it won't be
Don't
so
do
sad.
it to yourself. Yeah, it won't be so sad. Why don't you listen to your betters telling you that it's not founded on anything? Have you done a citation analysis using Open Alex based on feminist assertions around patriarchy and male privilege? Have you read the foundational text? Do you know about the Marxist conflict or the attempt to derive patriarchy from Marxist class theory? Do you know about Hartsock? Do you know about Bremer? Do you know about Barrett? Do you know about Ramis? Do you know about Young? Do you know any of this stuff? Girl, do you? Have you read it? Have you done the work? If you haven't, maybe don't say you know anything about this thing called feminist conjecture until you have done the work. And when you do the work, here is my homework for you, my precious child. Find where feminists prove that men in authority, and I would actually say it's men in responsibility, not authority, because wherever the authority conflicts with the obligation for men throughout history, the obligation wins out, right? If men in authority and responsibility, is it proven that what follows is that men oppress women for their own benefit? This is a causal relationship that can be falsified. It has never even been presented in this way in feminist conjecture, much less it's never been presented in a way that could be falsified, much less has it been proven. Because you cannot prove something true or false until you frame it in a way that it can be proven true or false. That has never happened, as far as I can tell. Like, again, scientific certainty means that I can't say it absolutely doesn't exist. Maybe there's a tiny corner of feminist, like, I don't know, one feminist up in like the Himalayas in her yurt who's written it out on yak skin. Like, maybe, but so far, all of my research has been for naught to simply find where feminism asserted its foundational premise in a way that could be falsified. Okay? So you go, you do the work, you read the foundational texts, which are basically just the Red Stockings Manifesto. You read that, you find that for me, you bring it to me, and then we'll discuss whether or not you're actually right. But do the work, lady. Okay.
All right. Yeah,
You
jumped
find the
ahead. This is the
sacred yak
last
skin.
time
You
code.
find the sacred feminist yak skin.
Empathy for others
The lost
in your
feminist
victim
text.
group, but certainly not for those that you perceive as privileged, oppressive, etc. No empathy at all, and you even feel quite justified in taking revenge.
Citation fucking needed.
On those people. You think they
really?
She needs a citation. Yeah.
Suddenly we need a citation, but only for this.
should suffer. You certainly don't care about their suffering, and a just world to you may seem like one in which they experience what you think your group has experienced. And that's exactly what feminism produces. And
Oh, this woman is so full of shit. Feminism
go
doesn't
back one
create
bit. Go back.
Go back.
I want to. Yeah, just about 10 seconds.
All right.
They experience what you think your group has experienced. And that's exactly what feminism produces. And
Oh, this woman is so full of shit.
I should have said 15 seconds. 15
All
seconds,
right.
15 or 20.
even feel quite justified in taking revenge.
Citation fucking needed.
On those people. You think they should suffer. You certainly don't care about their suffering. And a just world to you may seem like one in which they experience what you think your group has experienced. And that's exactly what feminism produces. And
if she needs a citation, a feminist group on Reddit, and not called out, it's just up there, just presented for the world to see as a completely acceptable conjecture, is right now arguing whether or not men committing suicide is oppression of women. Okay, lady? You needed a citation there, you got one. And I can find much more right where that come from. Right from the rad femmes that the regular feminists disavow, but they still believe exactly the same stuff. Right? And again, my tickle through the feminist tickle trunk revealed that there was a strand of this kind of womanomics in which women were encouraged to work, encouraged to go into education, but without the massive head of resentment of Western feminism. So it was possible to separate these two things. You guys didn't. You just really, really, really loved the resentment. Right? We could have had a society where women worked, women had education, women provided for their families, women were still wives and mothers, just like throughout all of human history. And we didn't have to have, along with it, all of this resentment and blame of men. That was something that you just tacked on. Or rather, it wasn't even tacked on, it became the main thing. You adopted the RadFem framework, and the RadFems consistently come out with awful crap like men commit suicide to oppress women. And other, even, if you can believe it, even worse framings. And that is part, like, you can't say that you are separate from RadFem. The only difference between a regular feminist and a RadFem feminist is RadFem is truthful about their ideology. Like, if you honestly think that men are biologically inclined to oppress women, that is, men are sociopaths with no capacity to love women, then the RadFem corpus, their thinking, is absolutely, it makes perfect sense. It's rational. Right? You can't, there's no possible peace that can be had between men and women. But here's the difference. Right? The RadFems are honest about the implications of feminist conjecture. The regular feminists just seem to want to use it to be superior to men, but not take it to its logical conclusion. They want to feel emotionally superior to men, which is exactly what standpoint theory says. Women are emotionally superior to men. They want to be able to blame men, which is what patriarchy conjecture does. Men are to blame. Men are to blame even for women's own thoughts. Right? They want to be the victim. But the Red Stockings Manifesto literally says, how are us white women, how is our complicity with white supremacy actually contributing to our own oppression? So they metabolized racism and all of the issues brought up by the civil rights movement into women's own oppression. So what they were doing was evading guilt for their complicity in that system, insofar as they had guilt to have. I don't want to get into that argument, right? So they evaded that guilt. Those white women, the radical feminist Red Stocking Manifesto, evaded that guilt by metabolizing it into victimhood and oppression by men. If you can freaking believe it, right? That's another draw. All of this is sourced. Every single bit of it has a citation. All right, I know
All
that
right.
we are rapidly.
Yeah, we're getting. Well, this is
Are
the
we
last
close to the
time
end?
code. This is
Okay.
the last time code. I'm just playing. Well, there is one. I don't know if we have time. Let's just play the rest of this one.
Feminism doesn't create vengeful women. You know what does? Harm. It's so interesting, though. She talks about how society is just so respectful of victims. And here she is, dismissing them as having no real reason for their pain, no real reason for their anger.
I would like...
Okay.
So Fiamengo acting or speaking out against this is evidence what? Oh, are you going to frame Fiamengo as being part of the establishment? And you're saying, no, Fiamengo is part of the establishment, is calling victims out. That means victims don't get any cred.
Yeah.
Oh, and again, right? She is believing something that literally they could not create a proper explanation for it. They couldn't create it. They couldn't create proper evidence for it. So they simply invented standpoint theory, or at least they just fell into standpoint theory to prove that they didn't need evidence for patriarchy and male privilege. So all of the harms that she's talking about are coming from something that doesn't exist, and they refuse to acknowledge it because they've convinced themselves of their standpoint superiority. Right? So, yeah. And if you once you get a situation where men are responsible for women's thoughts and choices, and women make bad thoughts, make bad choices, of course the oppression feels like it's everywhere because it's in your own brain. Okay.
Yeah, that was the last one. So I got some super chats and stuff, so I'm gonna read them. The Dunk Skunk gave us 35 czars and says she is arguing for feminism being a response to trauma, which fair enough, trauma responses aren't healthy long term. No, I don't think they're supposed to be. Then we got one from Anonymous for 5, and they say, Alison, I endorse your rant. Please continue to shine a spotlight on the lies coming out of feminism, up to and including feminism itself and its rotten foundations. A foundation built entirely out of fiction-sourced assertions made about reality.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Richard Bier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading it now. He gives us $5 and says, okay, in the vein of women dying inside the home, there was this prominent feminist, Julia Firestone Smith. She died inside her own apartment from starvation. She had been under the care of a psychiatrist for her paranoid schizophrenia and had organized a network of women who would assist her with her daily routine. After the psychiatrist retired and moved away from her city, the network basically faded away and left Shulimia to fend for herself. She was so deeply into existential fear that she wouldn't or couldn't go outside of her own apartment, even to shop for food by herself. Apparently, she ran out of food, and there wasn't anyone from the sisterhood that was willing to take her food shopping. But there is always the sisterhood that ensures that women everywhere will be kept safe by the sisterhood. All right. Yeah, I heard about that. And there was another radical feminist that died, alone. She was found dead in her home or something. I read about it this morning, actually. Ladies. Yeah.
Sisterhood has your back.
Well, that's just really this is just a byproduct of maximum safety. Like, oh, if I'm not around anyone, I never leave my house, and I don't go to the store, and I don't eat, I'll be safe from men. And she just died. I'm not laughing at it because it's not funny, but I mean, it's like, I don't know.
It's horrible. It's black humor.
It's horrible. It is. It's like worse than a Twilight Zone ending,
Yeah. And I understand why you're laughing. It's like horrible. It's also ironic.
Yeah.
It's hard not to have that kind of black, chuckle at something that's both horrible and ironic. But what popped into my head is something that really struck me. My grandma and my grandfather lived into their 80s, and my grandmother passed away. She got breast cancer towards the end.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandfather telling me something that really struck with me. He's like, well, my life is taking care of her. Like, this is my purpose, is to take care of your grandma. And I realized, having just watched, men in my family, and I probably have an unusual family because I got 6 uncles and only 1 divorce. But that's sort of how men, in many ways, frame their lives, is to take care of their women and children. And it just, when you read that out, when Richard wrote that and you read it out, I was just thinking about that. Because feminism tells women that someone like that, like my grandfather, is the oppressor of my grandmother. A man who considered it his life's calling to make sure that she was taken care of.
Hmm?
He also died a year after she did. And that's that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And nothing good is going to come out of a lie that monstrous.
No. You got to wonder why she was paranoid. The Dunk Skunk gave us 35 czars and says she claimed that Janice isn't feminist because she hasn't experienced trauma. Her framing makes feminism out to be a cry for sympathy. That's true. Yeah, it's almost like you have to have supposed trauma to be a feminist, I guess. Noba Fan gives us $1 and says feminist is a logical, true believer of feminist ideology and dies in her own home as a result of her going crazy. Feminist pointing at men. Somehow this is your fault. Well, yeah, because if men hadn't made her feel that way, she wouldn't have stayed in the house and died, you see? So it is men's fault.
It's interesting how this is happening to radical feminists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
well, I mean,
that's all
that's like maximal feminist dose, right?
Yeah. You're
It's like
ODing on it.
freebasing feminism. Yeah, you're like right into the heart. just shove that I don't know 50 cc's of feminism right into my freaking heart muscle. Let's go, baby. Plan to die. Being eaten by my cats. Like.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay,
that's it.
So if you would like to send a message, because we're wrapping up here. If you'd like to send a message at any time after the show is over, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us a tip and a message with that tip, because it goes into our message containment system instead of YouTube's message enhancement system. And I'll leave it as an exercise to the viewer, which is better. All right, so once again, that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. This is all available in the low bar as well if you're on YouTube. And good luck if you're listening to this via podcast. And if you would like to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support is where you would do that. Very much appreciated. Big shout out to the Great Indoors for throwing $500 into the hat.
Thank you, Great Indoors.
So thank you, Great Indoors.
News, everyone.
Very much appreciated. And this was actually his selection. So thank you again. And well, I just found it in the show suggestions, which I occasionally look in for potential things to respond to. So thank you to Great Indoors again. And if you would like to join him and our other very generous supporters. Oh yeah, big thanks to Meredith G, who put in $100.
Oh, thank you, Meredith. Really appreciate it. What do I got here?
Yeah, and
just like a woman.
Just like a woman who has sense. You support Honey Badger Radio. And also thank you to OKFS for $250. And I think I got everybody that put it in recently. So thank you all. And if you would like to join our generous supporters, go to feedthebadger.com/support. Put a few shekels, $5, $10. The little amounts are great too, because it's good to know that people care about this enough to I don't know, give us $5 instead of going to Starbucks, Starschmucks, and getting your venti of your double cream sugar thingy. All right, so feedthebadger.com/support to help us out there. And finally, BadgerNation.online. If you want to read the story of Alison's trek into the desert of the real, that is the feminist corpus, probably in her own blood, after having been viciously attacked by other feminists. All right, but anyway, if you want to see my journeys, then go to BadgerNation.online. Those will be made available. And back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today. And share the video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of Maintaining Frame. And we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.